Our setup. Okie dokie. Hey there. Hi everybody. So I am being interviewed and by this young lady. And she's
Hello.
Tell them your name.
My name is JULIANNA BACA.
JULIANNA BACA, and we are at Souls Health and Resource Center, and she is in her master's program, what's it called? Business management program. So she asked me some great questions, and we stopped and just said, we would help some people.
Yeah.
Because these are the common questions that people ask who want to be successful, who want to launch businesses, who want to branch out. So you can go ahead and ask me your first question, and then I'll throw the answer out.
Okay. So the first question is, what makes you successful and why do you believe that?
Well, I was saying to you that I believe that consistency, integrity, determination, and character are huge, because you can take a person that has a lot of talent and they can get in a position, but talent won't keep you in a position. And so you have to have this drive and determination. And so I kind of learned that from my father, John Tarver, and he was in the NFL when I was born. Mm-hmm. And so, did you turn on your thing?
No, I was just thinking.
Okay, he was in the NFL when I was born, and he was always about us being consistent. And since we could walk, we had to be active in something. And so in the midst of that, we showed up when we felt like it, we showed up when we didn't feel like it. And track and field, when it was snowing, when it was raining in Oregon, we had to show up for practice. We had to be consistent, we had to be dedicated. And so it takes those things, and because if you have a teachable person, they're going to be successful. So my father always says, anybody from the ages of 16 to 23, if they haven't made what they're going to be by then, chances are they probably won't. And I see some people, like when they're 40, trying to still determine who they are and try to figure out like what they're going to do and all these different things, and they're all over the place. It looks like a crazy roadmap up and down, and so there's no consistency. So you actually want to find a consistent thread. Like I started in radio in high school, and then I went to college for broadcasting, visual design, production. I still do television stuff to this day, but then I dabbled into sales, and so I still do sales as well. And then all throughout the line, you still see that there's fitness, there's sales, there's health, and helping people. So all of these years, it's the same thing. It's just evolving and becoming more. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, the second question is, did you become successful on your own? Did someone help you? If so, how did they influence you?
Well, I think along the way, you have a lot of mentors. So I had coaches that pushed me. My dad was my first push. Really, he was very determined. I think my parents paid it forward with all 5 of us kids. We all have degrees. We all went to school. They didn't pay a dime for us to go to college because they paid it forward. And so I believe in paying it forward. It is a pain in the butt. My daughter, who's in college now, graduating in 3 weeks, to get her to school, her school was 36 miles from here, there and back. And so I had to sacrifice. And so it was a pain in the butt for 4 years, but she has been on scholarship for 4 years now. So I paid it forward. And yes, it's tedious, but we're sowing seeds. So I believe a lot of people were there. My coaches were there. I watched my parents. I saw the example of my father and mother. I saw their consistency, their diligence, and it just kind of, and it was driven into me. I had a very troubled kid's childhood at 15. I've been out on my own since I was 16 years old. Wow. But what's amazing is I never stopped going to school. What's amazing is I still knew I had to go to college. It was already in me because I didn't let anything stop me. I had 3 kids in college when I was in college and undergrad, and I still ran track after having 3 kids. I was determined to finish my goals. I was determined to stay focused. And so just because life situations and obstacles or whatever happened in my life, I never let that deter me from what I was responsible for doing and what I was supposed to be doing. And you do the deletions and the subtractions and adding and reevaluating and those different things. But a lot of people were there, and I always had good mentors around me. I always had like a 90-year-old woman to tell me truth. You got to have some people that can correct you, And so that's really helped me when I needed to move forward.
Okay. Next question is, there is a saying, it's always darkest before the light. Did things ever become so difficult that you wanted to give up? What happened? Was there a defying action that led you through the breakthrough?
This is a really great question. I feel like I've had so many dark moments. it really comes down to my faith in the Lord, in Jesus Christ, and I have faith, and it says, faith, you can't see faith. So sometimes it's been blind faith. I think every business deal is going to take some blind faith. I think it takes a risk. When I opened the store, it took a risk. When I put everything I had into buying a house, it took a risk. At 22 years old, I bought my first house. By 25, I bought the next house. And then I opened up another business, and I remember putting my car that was paid off up for that business. It was a hair, nails, tanning salon called Rumors in Oregon. And, I had both houses built from the ground up. Everything is a risk. When I moved to California, it was a risk. I'm like, so I think that the biggest challenge was, I always had a really good paying job. So when I was a pharmaceutical rep, I was making 6 figures, and at that point, I had a couple cars, I had a couple houses with renters in it and everything. And so I ended up getting married to a gentleman that, and he owned an international shoe company and made a lot of money, millions of dollars and what have you. But then I stopped working, and now I was relying on being just this wife and mother. And then I went through this crazy divorce where, he didn't want to be a husband or father anymore. And I got a text and said, I don't want to be a husband and father anymore. And the money went, and then we owed $10,000 a month on bills. And here I was trying to figure out, oh my gosh, how am I going to live? I have 5 children at this time now. Now my 4 degrees are not going to help me.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? You want to talk about needing prayer and guidance? And so I believe that every millionaire has lost it once or twice. I believe that every person who's successful, you cannot keep a successful person down. You don't even need another person to help you up. Right. I believe that it will come from within you, and you will pave your own road if there is no road to pave. I believe that you will create light where there's darkness if light is in you. I don't believe that you can just be totally corrupted or anything. So in the process, it was crazy. I went from living in a 6,000 square foot home to having I ended up for a short period of time living in the store with my boys. And then I ended up with the house across the street. And because of like the Enagic, I know you're a Enagic distributor, yes. The company behind me with the bottle, the water company, it allowed me to make the type of money where like my 4 degrees couldn't help me at that moment. So it was so amazing. And then in that moment, I opened up my own business, which became a worldwide business where I help people lose 1 pound a day with no exercise. And I had no idea, because social media would help me so much, that it would get so big. Sure. So it's all a risk. I really don't know. I just was trusting God. I was trusting in what he put in me. I was trusting in keeping my consistency, my integrity, my determination, and my character and passion and my faith. My words were saying I can. So when I felt weak, I was saying I'm strong. When I felt poor, I was saying I'm rich. When I felt like I didn't have it, I just began to say I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. These are things that I would say over and over and over, and then I began to see everything that I wanted to say. Like, I knew the cars I would have before I had it. I knew the houses I would have before I had it. It was all, but it looked pretty glim. It looked pretty deep. I mean, when you're in a situation where you have kids and right. you need stability, and I refuse to make sure not to allow the kids not to have stability, because my parents always provided it for us. Yeah. So I've had some pretty dark moments, and every time there's a miracle that happens because of my faith, So I put my trust in God, and then he gives me this crazy, amazing testimony, and things happen because I refuse to be unscrupulous. And I've had some indecent proposals. Like at that time, the guys come with like the $2 million high rise, and they're like, they want to date you, and I'm like, no. I was like, bye. You're not along the plan and my path, and I can't do it that way. Why won't you let me help you? No, I need integrity, and I don't need that. That's a distraction. You have to recognize those distractions, and say no to some of those things and be like, I got this. That way, nobody can take credit for anything that's going to happen, So dark moments,
Number 4 is, what do you like and not like about success?
Oh gosh, that's when you're paving your own way for success. It is your work. It's work. You do it. Like, I've heard people say, well, I'm not successful because my wife won't do what I'm telling her to do. Look, let me tell you something. Nobody else is going to birth your baby. If you're pregnant, birth your baby. This is your baby. The Souls Health and Resource Center was my baby. So everything that's in this office. So these cards, I had to have made. This cookbook, I had to have made. These pamphlets, I had to have made. You name it. I can grab everything that you see around here, from the fixtures. I had to figure it out. So it's not about what somebody else does. It's about what you're willing to do. How hard are you willing to work? Even if you want to write a book, I hear people say, I've been wanting to write a book. Well, if you wrote one page every single day, you'd have 365 pages. So instead, you're just saying, well, it is attainable. The goals are obtainable. You can do this. It's just how much are you committed and how much are you dedicated to making it happen. And the more I work on something, the better it becomes. When I'm working on a magic, I reap more. I sow more seeds, I reap a harvest. I put more seeds out there, I reap a harvest. I do a new video, people see it, it spreads out. I mean, it just, like, I have to do the work, and then I have to follow up and be consistent. So I believe, like, successful people, like, to be successful, these are things that I have to do. What was the other part of that question? You asked me again? Hold on.
What did you like and not like?
Not like. So that's what I like, is that it'll be what I make it. So it's like a marriage. It's going to be what you make it. If you're faithful, you're going to make it. If you're unfaithful and you're a cheater, you're not going to have a good marriage. If you're a liar, you're not going to have a good marriage. If you show up sometimes and sometimes you're in and sometimes you're out and you're not committed to it, you're not going to have it. You're only committed on the good days, you're not going to have a good marriage. If you're not going to, return phone calls, if you're not going to return text messages, if you're not going to spend the time and to water your grass and to mow it and to take care of it, your grass is going to look in California horrible. Yeah. So it's about, if you're planting, a vineyard, you're going to have to weed the weeds out. So it's about maintenance for everything. I don't care if I go get a Ghost Phantom or Maserati. If I go get a Rolls Royce today, it's going to need maintenancing in a few months. Yeah. So I have to maintenance it. My gas is going to run out. So you got to fill it back up. So you're going to have to always maintenance something. So that's the thing about it, is as long as you're willing to do the work, it's a reciprocity. I put gas in it, it drives for me. I love on my spouse loves me back. You're just going to be what you make it. So that's what I love about that, is that you can't blame anybody else. You have to do the part on your own, and you have to be willing. And if you sow good seeds and something didn't work out, there's something better coming, because you stayed sowing good seeds, and you're going to reap a harvest. So the bad part is that you're tired sometimes. You go through seasons and valleys, and when it looks like things are bleak and you have challenges and responsibilities. Like I said, it's a risk. And so some people have put everything they have into something. And you listen to Steve Harvey. He was like, I was living in my car, I was just getting ready to give up, and the phone rang. You hear Tyler Perry, he lived in his car, and everything, then boom. You listen to Oprah Winfrey's story, how she was born of someone who was molested and at 12 years old and got pregnant, and the same thing turned around and happened to her, and they said she'd never make it, and bam, she's here. She kept staying consistent. Integrity, determination, character, passion, drive, believe in yourself when nobody else believes in you, and that's where you see the persistence. So it'll happen. But you have to, sometimes things get bleak and sometimes things get tough, and you hear about the law students that they're eating crackers because they're in law school, and they're eating top ramen every day because they're trying to make it through. But they know, if I just stay on this road, if I keep paddling this boat, if I just keep on, I'm going to get to a place where this is going to be sure. I'm going to arrive and have my degree. There's an end result. It's going to work out for my good. You just have to believe that everything you've sown is not a waste of time. So it's during those times, you can't quit. Quitting can't even be a part of your vocabulary. You can't let quitting come out of your mouth. Just because it's tough or it's hard, that's when the tough gets going. That's when you press in a little bit more. And next you have to reevaluate, and you have to delete, and you have to add. But those are the times when you find out what you're really made of. Hey, am I a quitter? I need to stop that. I need to be consistent. I need to be dedicated. It's like muscles. The first day you start working out, it hurts the next day. Mm-hmm. Then the next week it's hurting. But you stay every day working out, and in about 6 weeks, you start seeing a little bit something. On my weight loss, people lose a pound per day. So I watched a lady lose 134 pounds in 4 months. Every day she stayed consistent. Could she do everything she wanted to do? No. Could she drink and eat everything? No. So it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term benefit. Yeah. So you have to really measure that in success. It can be difficult, it can be hard, and then I would say too, in success, who you connect with and partner with means everything. I say pray about the process and pray about the person who you connect with. I don't care if it's ministry. I don't care if it's a business deal. You have got to really make sure that you connect with like-minded people, and make sure you connect with people and you rub shoulders with people that make way more money than you, have bigger ideas than you, and can help you to pull you up. And you want to sharpen yourself. So iron sharpens iron. You can't be afraid to be the person that needs to learn. Just be the sponge that absorbs everything they're teaching you. So people can have negativity about them and they can teach you the wrong thing. So you have to make sure you're around good people. They're going to teach you how to be successful and teach you how to grow and teach you how to go to the next level and teach you, like, so there's a lady I was working with recently, and she owns an island. First person I met that owns an island.
Wow. Showed
me the pictures of it and everything. She's traveled tons of places. I've traveled. Yeah, I've been to Fiji. I've been to Caribbean. I've done those things, but on an island? Yeah. Let me listen to you for a little bit. Like, what are you doing? How did you get to this place where you bought an island and you want to put a 6-star hotel on this island? I said, talk to me, because this is where I can grow. I have another client and he makes about $450,000 a month. And I go to his house, and sometimes I work out his wife, and they're clients of mine. Every time I'm around them, they introduce me to great people. But some of the people I met, like, I've had lunch with those people because I got to listen and grow. One of the ladies, she's amazing. I was listening to her and talking to her, and we're talking about growth, about adversity. She's amazing. Her husband's amazing. They've been doing this other business. Now they're doing WFG, World Financial Group, and she's very successful. And she told me she had 2 daughters. One at 16 was in a car accident, and the next year her other daughter was in a car accident too, and they both died. And I was like, whoa. You don't think I wanted to sit down and talk to this lady? How do you overcome that?
Yeah.
How did you move past that? How are you so positive? How did you not go into a depression? How did you continue to get up and go to work every day? Like, so I meet with her whenever I can.
In a nutshell, what was it that she gave you?
Oh my goodness, she said I had to first realize that they're gone. First of all, to have it happen one time is one thing. A year later, your second daughter dies, and I was just like, when she told me, my hair stood up on my. But I can imagine losing my child, and then the next year losing your only child you have left. And now you and your husband are sitting here looking at each other. And she said they decided they weren't going to break up. They weren't going to blame each other. And she said, we started thinking about the great things that we learned from our children, the wonderful times that we've had with them. And she said, and the things we talked about doing. And she said, we began to proceed how we were going to move forward with life. And the husband said something differently. He said, if she had freaked out and fell apart, I would have freaked out and fell apart. But he said she was so strong. And so as she was strong, it made him strong.
Wow.
And a lot of times you think the man is the stronger one and he's the muscles, but to lose your daughters, for a man, like, daughters are daddy's heart. You don't know how it affects men differently. And they shut down. And I think it was the movie with Will Smith where their child died and he just fell apart. He couldn't even function.
Oh, yeah.
And so it affects men and they stop talking.
He went into an alternate reality.
He went into some strange place. Yeah. And the wife, she created a support group. She moved forward. She said, I'm going to use this to help other people. Mm-hmm. So this woman, she's from like London too. I love every time I meet with her. She's a go-getter. She's amazing and she perseveres. And one day she called me aside and she said, I watched you do a presentation. I'm so glad I met you. She said, this is what I saw that day. And she was like, there's some things that people around you, they're not as happy about your success as you are. And I watch the faces and I know it. She said, it's going to be okay. She said, what I want you to do is, and she gave me some very great advice. And that's what I follow. Because when you go meet with somebody like that, you follow their advice, they will give you more nuggets every time. But sometimes they just want to see, can you just do the first thing I asked you to do? Mm-hmm. Can you do the next thing? Because then they're casting their pearls before swine. Right. And so if they see you did it, they'll bless you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they want to link with you and they want to partner with you and they see that you're valued. So sometimes your value comes when you do things like an intern or you're that amazing. Did you see The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah.
Like you're that intern, but you're creating value because she has to take her glasses down and look at you like, who who's this girl?
Yeah.
Because you had that drive, you didn't quit, that determination, no matter, it cost her boyfriend sometimes and different things, but if you were going to be in the industry like that, you had to rise to a higher standard. So getting out of your comfort zone and pressing by. Like, you know, when it was my kids, I had to figure out how was I going to support my kids. Stability meant everything. My daughter was in the middle of her sophomore year when that happened to me. I needed to get her to college.
Yeah.
This is not okay. So I had to make sure whatever I had to do to make her. One time, I remember I owed like $700 because she went to private school. You know, I wasn't sending her to public school. My parents didn't send me to public school. I was sending her to a private school because this is where she can go to another great school. You know, that's where I know your dad from. You know, we went to the same high school. Our parents paid for us to go to school. So it was in me. Well, all of a sudden I owed like $795 to the school. And here I was, I just got everything stabilized, but you know, $795 is $795. I'm like, I got other things to pay for, but her education was important to me. So what I had to do is, I prayed about it. And all of a sudden I got a phone call and said, hey, can you work me out for 30 days? Can you come to my house at 5 in the morning and blah, 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 blah. Now, just the drive up there was going to take me 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes to get back, which meant I had to be up at 4 in the morning, right? So he paid me immediately over the phone, which I paid her school the next day, but for the next 30 days as a mother, to make sure my daughter, I had to sacrifice. Do you think she knew? No, she's asleep. When I got back, she got her brothers up, I got them home. As soon as I came back, you know, I had to get her up, get the boys up, get them off to the bus, get the boys to school, get in the office all day, and do it all over the next day again. And by midways, it's like, oh my God, why am I doing this? I'm paying it forward. Mm-hmm. So it hurts sometimes, but I have to remember why I'm doing what I do. And, you know, now she sees that daughter, she's graduating from college in the next 3 weeks, and she sees, you know, she's calling me, hey mom, so are you still paying for my pictures or you want me to pay? At least she's asking, like, you know, I was like, I'll pay for them. So I paid for her pictures. I called, got her an appointment, sent it to her, and she's going. But she's been responsible. She's kept a job. She's had her own car. She's maintaining her own things. She's maintained great grades. She's already applied for grad school. She has a plan. She knows what she's going to do. Where does she learn that from? From consistency. And everywhere she works, everybody wants her because she's had a mother that's had businesses, and her dad has business too, and so she's had entrepreneurial parents. So, and then the sports. So this thing is just repeating itself, what John Tarver instilled in me. And then you saw my brother Sean, who then opened up his own like sports camp, and he works with kids to this day. You know, and he's a probation officer, but he works on the campsite. You know, I just talked to him about having my son come hang out with him, you know, and teach him some basketball and stuff, because that's not my thing. I run track, you know, I'm a track runner. So you got to stay in your own lane. Yeah. Don't go in another lane that you're not good at, you know. Right. So I have to put him in touch with my brother so my brother can help my son, because he needs help, and I recognize that, and not being afraid to ask for help.
How old is your son?
That son is 10, and the other one's 9. And these two has been different than my other top 3 kids. So there's a differences in how I parent them, and even their challenges that they have. And my life is different. Like then I feel like it seems my life was easier before, but when you're an entrepreneur, like my life is different sometimes. You know, I might not finish work until 11 o'clock at night, and then I'm back up at 5 in the morning. It's very different than before when I was a pharmaceutical rep, and you know, it was quite different.
You work for somebody else.
I work for somebody else, but it's really rewarding too. And when I see my kids, they are involved once again with what I do. Like my son, when I lived across the street, he would come over and work the store Saturday mornings, and he got paid for it. So all during the summer, he would be here working with me. And he knew how to fill up the jugs, and he talked to people about the water, or he turned on the video so they could watch the video, or what have you. But he's learning how to be successful by watching what we do right now. Whether we know it or not, they're paying attention.
Nice.
You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For good and bad.
Absolutely.
I said the word stupid a couple days ago, and I got a text today from my son's teacher, and it was like, my baby son, your son is using the word stupid today. And I was like, oh. I was like, he got that from me. I don't think he ever heard me say the word. Like, and then there's some areas I've tried to keep them kind of sheltered and different things. So, you know, they think shut up is a bad word.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, good.
Yeah.
You'll get enough of the world later. But right now, can I just keep your innocence as long as possible,
That's
you know?
right. Yeah, that's a good way to be.
All right, next is what habits and characteristics should I develop to become successful?
Well, I think you're already doing it. The fact that you're here, you're listening. I met you at a Magic meeting because you're already a distributor. Just you being a distributor is amazing because you're paving your own way. You're drinking. I see you drinking your own water. You know, I'm like, you know, you got the cute little bottle that makes people want to ask about your magic water, you know, this sexy water that we have and what's so amazing about it, but you're already doing it. You're coming to seminars, you're taking notes while you're there, you're asking questions, you're doing your homework, your father's involved in your life, your mother's involved in your life. Like we just had this great conversation. So I understand that, you know, these people are important to you and so is your success. So you're doing it already. You're already consistent. You're already showing signs of integrity. You follow through on your time. You were here on time. You know, got passion for it. You're beautiful. You've got character from what I've seen, and you're doing a good job. So I just think keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're going to walk right into your success. And also, I'm really big on planning. So let me see if I can pull some kind of so. I never knew how to do like a 501c3, but I have a nonprofit organization. I figured it out, right? I didn't know how to set up my whole business up, so I have everything set up here. Tax ID numbers, here's the attorney's things. This is telling you that I have a 501c3. I figured out all these things, how to do it along the way. So I say, because of the information age you live in, you can find anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, let me tell you something. My car is a unique car, I guess. It's expensive if anything breaks, right? So I was at my dad's house. My dad lives on a hill in Pine Mountain, so Fraser Park. It's a huge. It's like Lake Arrowhead, right? So the driveway goes like this. So I had put the emergency brake on it or whatever, right? Well, I don't know how when I got it down, it got stuck. There is no like easy tow trucks up there or what have you or situations. And my dad just gave up. We couldn't get it to get unstuck. I'm 2 hours away. Persistence inside of me was like, I am not towing my car 2 hours home. I'm just not going to do it. So I sat there while he went in the house to call AAA. He gave up. My dad's like at 70 and he's not a quitter. He was just like, I'm moving on to plan B. Mm-hmm. Plan B for me was determination. It was get on YouTube and find out if this has happened to somebody else and how to fix it. Mm-hmm. They told me to remove the console and there's a lever in there and pull the lever up and it releases. So I did that. Wow. And at first it didn't seem to work. But I think there's a song that says, at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. I went at it again and again and again, and I kept turning and turning and turning, and it just released. Nice. And I went around the corner, I was honking, and then I parked somewhere else so I didn't have to get back on the hill. And I went in the house, and I was singing the song, and I was like, see, Dad, you taught me that. Persistence, find a way. Go to plan A. If plan A didn't work, don't be so quick to quit. Go to plan B. Then go to plan C. Then go to plan D. And there's always a way. Somebody told me at 22, oh, you can't buy a house at 22. Who said I can't? I bought a house I had built from the ground up, 22. Wow. I think kids your age need insurance policies. Not just insurance policies, but the ones that have where you can actually put money away that's taxed and not taxable for your future already. Right. Because it's cheap now. You get it now, when you try to get it at our age, you're going to pay $300, $400 a month. Mm-hmm. So if you do it now, you're going to pay $25, $30, $50 a month. And by the time you paid it, you have something to put down on the house. You have money that's yours. So I'm always like, and then I believe a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. You already have something set up. When your kids are born, get a policy on them immediately. Give them the gift of it. See, so these are all things. See, that's good parenting. That's great parenting. Because I tried to have a talk with a former NBA player the other day, and he didn't want to hear it. He told me most people don't have insurance policies. I was like, who are you talking to?
Insurance policies? Oh, we got it.
I couldn't believe it.
All of it.
I was like, you need future.
My wife got $1 million.
Right.
Each one of my kids got one.
And I told my kids, like, hey, look, I've got these things in order so that you guys have a future. And I told my daughter, if anything happens to me, do not go buying and spending and splurging. I said, go buy a condo. Live on one side and rent out the other, or buy 2 of them and then have rental places. I said, then pay cash for your car and then put this money away. I start talking.
She already did that.
You see?
Yeah.
So all of these things we are talking about. But people aren't talking about these things on how to leave generations of wealth to your family.
That's true.
And so if you learn ways of leaving this generational wealth, then you know it'll get duplicated. So when I pass, I'm not leaving you a burden. I'm actually left you a blessing. And now you go do sow great seeds with what has been left for you. And that comes from the parents. And that comes from us figuring out how to do it right now. You know, it's very important.
That's very good advice, Sam. Very good. That's absolutely right.
Number 6 is, did you have to sacrifice anything for success? What did you sacrifice?
Wow. So what have I sacrificed? You know, people ask me, somebody asked me yesterday, said, Taryn, what do you do for fun? And I was like, I don't know.
Work?
Yeah, I don't know, because I kind of mix and dab it with the kids stuff too. So like, they wanted to go to the beach a week or so ago. And I sat on the beach. I didn't even feel like 5 hours. You know, my feet is in the sand. I needed to get grounded. It was great. I felt so good there in the water the whole time. And I'm just like, and it felt good. It felt like I was relaxing. I read, you know, books or what have you. But everything is a sacrifice. My dad was laughing and was like, I know where all your money's been going for the last, my oldest daughter's 25. So almost 25 years. You can know where my money has gone. And then I poured into my dreams, my 501c3, my Women of Noble Character, the Lifeline step, conferences, helping people. That's where all of my money goes, you know. A lot of people always asking for hands out, and some people sow into the 501c3, and that's great. And I was like, oh, this year I need to start doing grants because I've been established for 12, 14 years, so it's easy to do, you know. So get a grant writer, get some more, interns and different things, so I can start doing more, you know. So I feel like it's all a sacrifice. So definitely your time. I can't go where I want to go. I can't always do what I want to do. I feel like the sacrifice has been too, like, you know, when I wanted to do school, my kids were important because I was in college. I chose to have kids while I was in college, and so I had to be responsible. So I didn't go out and party, and I never was a partier or anything. And, you know, then those times that I was at church and what have you. So I don't really travel as much as, you know, I would love to. If I could do something, I would travel more. We used to go to timeshare quite a bit. And I haven't been doing my timeshare very much either, but, you know, I try to do more things with my sons. Like, it's important for me to take them on airplanes and take them out the country and expand their brain to other things and other cultures and let them see, you know. I want them to go. I was telling my son, like, I wish he could even go to a military camp for like 2 weeks just to see what this is like. You go to Mexico and build a house and, you know, and see what this is like. Like, not everybody has the internet, and, and not everybody has everything that you have. Like, you have privileges. And so we began to appreciate what we do have a little bit more. So, you know, there's always a sacrifice. I sacrifice my money, I sacrifice my time, and I sacrifice money to make money. And so realistically, I say it's all a sacrifice, to tell you the truth. But you do what you want to do. You do what you got to do, to do what you want to do. It's not going to always be like this, you know. It comes a time when everything just springs forward. I love T.D. Jakes because he said he preached to like the same 20 people for like 10 years. And so here T.D. Jakes is preaching to these 10 people, and then he makes one move, and all of a sudden, for 20 years, everything came to one day. And he had more people join his church than ever in 20 years in one service.
I don't know who that is, T.D. Jakes.
Oh, you gotta look him up. Just look up motivation, T.D. Jakes on your YouTube. There's little blurbs and clips. Look up success. He is so practical. Like, Oprah has him on, and Dr. Phil has him on, and he uses great biblical principles with reality. But he's so allegorical. He's really great, and he uses metaphorical things to really make you think. And he does success classes and leadership classes, and he's interviewed everybody, and everybody's interviewed him, and Time Magazine, and you know, soar, how to rise above things, and he's just great. But he was saying on one of my favorite one is called Commitment, and it has a 20-minute talk on commitment.
Well, you got this on tape, right? So.
Yeah. The 20-minute on commitment that T.D. Jakes is talking about is so amazing because He's telling you, you have to be committed to your dream, you have to be committed to your family, you have to be committed to your God, you have to be committed, and what real commitment is, right? And so in that process, he said, you know, I was getting off work, and I was coming to the church, and I'm trying to build the church. He's like, my wife is sleeping on the pew, she's pregnant, while I'm building, and I'm building every single day. He's like, I was washing my suits in the washing machine. He was like, I didn't want to get down and kneel to pray because the bottom of my shoes had holes in them. And he said, they said you could never speak, you have a lisp, and you'll never make it, and you might as well quit. And they talked bad about him. And he said, if he wasn't committed, it would have all fallen apart by what they said. And he is the most sought after minister you can look for anywhere, with such sound wisdom. He's not like, it's just great wisdom he gives you for all these situations. Wow. And now, so in a moment of like 20 years of which seemed like hard work, all of a sudden, bam, and it's just out there everywhere. And it's just great. It's really awesome. So, I love that. So I always think of that like, you're really sowing great seeds. And I just think there's a difference between, if I want to go plant a garden, you're going to plant a garden today, we can go to Home Depot, get some potting soil, we can get some seeds, we can water it, and in a couple weeks you have lettuce, you have tomatoes, you have strawberries, it all starts growing up. And it's good. Then I can eat from it within the next 2 months, let's say, right? And people make money that way, right? Blueberries, strawberries. But if I plant a vineyard and I start doing the process, I'm not expected to really reap any money. I used to work for Gallo Wine Company. So I've been up where Ernesto and Julio, the brothers, started this company by themselves. They don't expect to yield anything off of this realistically, truthfully, for at least the first 7 to 10 years. But they're sowing, and they're building, and they're plotting. But this money is generational. Hundreds, 300, 400 years, 500 years, it's still going to be here. Yeah. So you can plant strawberries, and you can plant blueberries, and you can plant little things, or you can work on some major things, and it's going to be there well after you're gone, and they will remember what you did, and what you did will last. So I'm more into planting vineyards, and I'm in it for the long haul, and it may not be a gratification that everybody sees right now, but I'm learning every year, I'm learning every day, I'm learning every moment, everything. People say, oh, you failed. Oh, you got divorced again? Look, wait a minute. I didn't fail. Let me tell you. I learned what I would take and what I wouldn't take, and what's integrity and what's not integrity. I've learned about matching with right people. I've learned about who I really am. Is my love walk tested? You only really know who you are when there's pressure getting applied to you. Yeah. People will do all kinds of things in pressure. Even in pressure, you want to work with people who are not going to be unscrupulous. You want to work with people who have integrity. And no matter what, this is who they are. They're not going to go steal from your company. And you're not stealing from anybody's company because things aren't going your way. You're not going to twist the numbers. You're going to make things try to seem another way. You're not going to go steal something to make something happen. You find out who you are. So it's really about you having to know who you are and what's amazing about you in the whole process. So that's where your life is really comes to, it's all about you. I don't know if you watched the movie Fearless before with Jet Li. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, it's so great. Jet Li's Fearless, especially the original one. He's sitting down and having this conversation about teas. And it was the most profound thing. This man, he grew, but initially he had pride and he didn't grow because the pride was in the way. He didn't listen to anybody. He was arrogant and narcissistic until he got his wife, his daughter and his mother and everybody killed in his household. Then he went on a journey, and when he came back, he was a different man.
I want to watch it.
Oh, you wait till you go see it. You'll text me. He was so integrous when he came back. He had a purpose, he had a calling, he had a mission, and he was doing the right things before, but for the wrong motive. So motive matters in everything that you're doing. Yeah. Why you're doing what you're doing matters. So your motive is so important. That's where, am I doing this so my ex can see me succeed? Am I doing this to get back at my parents because they didn't do what I want them to do? Am I doing this because I'm greedy and hungry for money and I'm going to take all my money and hold it to me? Or am I doing this to help other people? Am I doing this to grow? Am I doing this because this is my passion? Am I doing this because it's my future? Am I doing this because I love working with people? Am I doing this because this is my calling? There's a motive matters. So you have to you have to get down to what's the motive of things. Yeah. And so when you get to your motive and your motive is pure, you're really going to be successful.
Nice. What would you have done, or would you have done things differently? If so, what and why?
So many things. So many things. I always laugh. I say, I would love to go back to like 16 years old, but with this mind.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't have all these amazing stories. Like when I do my lifelines, people hear my stories and they are shocked that I've lived through them. And not only that, like a lot of these things would have killed people that I've lived through. Like, I mean, you guys, there's so many stories. There's so many scenarios. I just I love it now because when you're healed, like, first of all, let me just give you a few keys. Toxic people, toxic. Toxic. Toxic people talk sick. Okay. So you can hear negativity. The glass is always, it's half empty. No, I look at it and it's half full.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you still got a lot of water.
There's a lot of water in here. There's a whole lot we can work with. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, multiplication. And they see everything as negative. And I'll tell you a quick little story. It was so amazing. I heard this from Joyce Meyer. She said they had two twins and one was always negative and one was always positive. So they said, okay, well, this is what I want you to do. The psychiatrist said, take the negative one and buy her the most amazing gift you can. And in the same moment, give the positive one the worst thing you can imagine. So they went and got this amazing bike for the other one. And as soon as she saw it, she says, yeah, I guess I'm going to probably fall off this bike and break something now. Okay. So they go to the positive one and she opens this box. It's got this big old bow on it. She tears it apart and there's manure in it. And she goes, she looks and she runs out the door. They're like, what are you running for? She goes, with all of this poop, there's got to be a horse around here somewhere for me. So she was looking for the positive, even though she got something negative. So the point is that toxic people talk sick, healed people, and hurt people. So a lot of people aren't over what happened with their parents. It's all a reconciliation that we're working with. Nobody has a clean slate, a clean slate. Somebody's parents got divorced, and someone's parents died, and someone's child died, and someone, house burnt down. I know a lady, their house burnt down, just electrical fire. In a few minutes, they just walked out with nothing but their own life. You look at the Holocaust, and they probably thought it was terrible to have to have to figure out how to put most of their life in one suitcase, not knowing that suitcase wasn't going to matter at all either. That they just wanted to live at some moment. There's so many things that can happen to you. I know people who walked outside, and my friend's son, he walked outside after the dog, and it's his only child. And when he walked outside after the dog, an SUV slammed him and he had brain surgery and almost died. Things happen to people through life. It's called life. How you handle those things matter. How healed can you become? I can look at everything negative and be angry at my parents about what they shoulda, coulda, woulda done and hold on and miss 80 years because I'm mad about something that happened when I'm 16 years old. I'm unforgiving. Unforgiveness will keep you bitter. It's okay because some relationships are going to have to part. In business, they have to part. People get fired all the time. People come for seasons and reasons and they leave, and you have to be okay when they leave because people that you love will leave you sometimes. But that just means that part of their story is gone for that moment. Now, thank you for what you had, the time I had with you and what I learned, whether it be good or bad. I learned something. I'm going to take this information and now I'm going to go on with my life and build on it. Is it a book? Is it Mad Mothers Against Drunk Drivers? What do you build with it? What kind of support group from that movie we were talking about with Will Smith? What do you build? How do you help somebody else with your issue instead of Joyce Meyer? Her dad molested her whole life. How do you get through that? She sees tons of people who haven't gotten over that. But she's now made millions off of it. And she's positive. She's gotten rid of her negativity. So at some point, you have to take the bad and turn it to a good. And it doesn't matter what people say about you. It doesn't matter what they think about you. It doesn't matter if they think you failed. And all that matters is what you say about yourself and what God says about you. You're still everything God says you are. You're still going to do everything God says you're going to do. You still have purpose and destiny, and your whole life is not going to fall apart because somebody slandered you on Facebook and they lied on you and they left you and they tried to lay a ditch for you. There's only two things that matter. I always tell people, I said, look, if you're buried some people, they'll put you under the ground, and if you're under the ground, there's two things. There's dirt on top of you, for one. And you have to look at that. You say, okay, there's a bunch of dirt. Let's say that's manure and everything and dirt on top of you if you're buried. But if you were a seed, you just got planted. So you take that dirt that they put on top of you, and now you're just going to rise up, and you're going to become this gigantic tree that produces much fruit.
Yeah.
You have to look at it differently in your perspective. So heal people will heal people. Get your healing in your journey. Like whatever is bothering you, figure it out. If you have to get a counselor, if you go talk to a pastor, if you got to have somebody you can confide in, if you got secrets, they'll eat you alive. You want to get rid of all of those secrets you have inside you so that you can live. You want to have peace with whatever was wrong, and then think about, hey, did I see it correctly? You have to have room for error. Be flexible. Blessed are the flexible, for they'll never be bent out of shape. You have to be willing to change. I remember one day I was at my dad's house, and I was in Oregon. It had snowed, and my babies were like 15 months old and 2 months old. Yeah. So it was my first time with these two little babies. And my dad was outside waiting for me. I just got one finally dressed. And I went to go grab the other one, and he had jumped in water. And I'm like, he's in the bathtub. Like, he turned the water on while I was getting the other one. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got him back dressed and everything. And I'm like, okay, my dad's going to kill me. Let me hurry up and get out of here. So I started ready to go outside. The other one poops totally through his clothing, and I've got poop now all over me, and it's all over the baby, and I wanted to cry. It was just like nothing I could do. Change his clothes. My dad's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You have no." I didn't even bother to tell him what I had been through. So I learned you can't defend everything. You can't. You spend your life trying to prove that you're right, prove that someone lied on you, prove who your character is. Look. People who know you will know how your integrity. Let your work in your business speak for itself. Let your character, the people who are supposed to be with you, they will know. Because you can get caught up in, especially in business, trying to always prove that you're right, because there are some people out there that are just not good people. You'll be fighting with everybody. Sometimes you have to say nothing. You look at the higher you plan on getting as a CEO, as a president of any company, as any position, the higher you get, if something happens, the spotlight is on you. So you have to expect somebody's going to write something about you. Somebody's going to post something on the internet. Somebody's going to lie and say, oh, you cheated. There's a scandal. You're a beautiful young lady. You have to watch yourself even in the workplace. Like I can't just wear everything because sometimes it's a hindrance in the workplace. Like, I don't wear a lot of super low cut things. Right. I bend over and now my boobs are hanging out. Like I have to use wisdom with some things I do because of the type of professional I want to be. So just like setting myself up for success, you can do that too.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Let's see. How long did it take you to become successful?
Well, if you ask my mom, she says I've been successful for a long time. My mom said that I helped her start her first business at 12 years old, which I didn't even know that. And I've been babysitting and what have you, but on record with the Social Security office, I've had a job since I was 12 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I have had, and they come to your house, you could see. So I made money. My dad was a director of a trade school, and I would work with him. When I was a little kid, I would go to work with him in pharmaceutical. I would go on his jobs with him. And it's funny because I ended up being a pharmaceutical rep after he was in the NFL too. And my grandmother was a nutritionalist at the VA hospital, and I ended up being a nutritionalist and helping people with health. So it's kind of funny that it's like success. I started modeling for Nike at 7 years old. I became Miss Oregon. I think the pictures, these pictures over here, Miss Oregon, and
wow,
got to do some great things.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah. You've had a long line of success.
It's been there my whole life. My dad just bred it a part of us. And so all my brothers were the same thing. And like even Sean, he's very successful. He got to do great things. And so I just think the last name Tarver means leader. And so I think it just, every time somebody calls your name, it actually produces whatever you are. So it's just like, it finds me. Yeah. So I just thank God that he chose me, and that, I try to encounter anybody I encounter. Like, I love what T.D. Jakes says. He says, if you get me, you got help. If I walk in the room, help just came in the room. I will not ever take from you without leaving you with something greater. Like, I had to have changed your life in some way. I had to inspired you in some way. I had to have impacted your life in some kind of way, because that is what I'm here for, to inspire you, to transform and help change your life so that you can do great things. And so I talked to a guy today, and it was doing a little counseling, and he said that his girlfriend was really intimidated when she saw one of my pages or something, and he was like, call her. And she was like, no, she couldn't. I said, no. He said, well, you don't understand. She's kind of closed-minded and she has low self-esteem. And I said, send her to me. I love people like that, because by the time what's on me should fall on you. And when you leave my presence, hopefully you feel empowered to be a Wonder Woman. My daughter texted me the cutest text one day. She said, she goes, well, you know, I can't be Wonder Woman because you're Wonder Woman, so I think I'm going to be She-Hulk. I didn't even know there was a She-Hulk. And I loved it because she looks at me like her mom can do anything, you know. And I don't know how to do everything. I just am willing to try to do anything. And I'm willing to learn anything. And I'm correctable if I make a mistake. I'm like, screwed that one up bad, didn't you? All right, get back up there on the podium. You know, my dad loves telling the story. I'm like, why do you tell this story? The one thing I quit was when I was doing BMX bike racing and I fell and I was 5 and I never got back up there and I wouldn't do it anymore. It was a rainy day and what have you. My dad came and picked me up. I was like, why do you tell everybody that story? You know, and it's so funny, but I will get back up. So I was in Fiji and I literally jumped underneath this waterfall, and in the middle, first I was going head first, but I started thinking like, oh my God, there could be rocks down there. So I shifted my body, which caused me to body slam. And it hit me so hard, I was like, you can't tell I was crying, but I was crying. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. But I knew if I didn't get back up there, I would never get back up there again. So I forced myself to go back up there and do it again. I did it, and I did it fine, you know. Yeah. But I made myself do it again because, you know, sometimes you do things that you regret, and there is shame attached to it, but just turn it around. Like, there's embarrassment that comes with things. Just face it head on. Like, take the bat from the devil and just be like, you know, use it to hit something. It gives you lemons, make some lemonade with it. Like, hey, it is what it is, you know. I was like, well, you know, I was teaching somebody about picking something. I was like, now if I could just get the picking the husband thing down right, it would be just fine. You know, you have to turn it around into laughter because, you know, it's the truth. Things happen in your life and you have got to be able to turn it around. Flip this thing and make something out of it and teach somebody what you learned. And if you screwed up big time, I like Steve Harvey. He talks about, he said, I screwed up so bad. I left my wife, I left my kids, I did this stuff, and now he's super devoted to his wife, and that's all he talks about is how to do it right. And you know what? I love that. I love it. And he said, as a comedian, I watched Oprah Winfrey's masterclass, and he said, as a comedian, I learned the most from him. He said that when comedians are blowing it, everybody goes to the back. They don't want to see another man blow it. He said he pulled up a chair and he was sitting there like, let me see how this man's going to turn it around. They said, why do you always sit there? He said, because if that guy who's blowing it and they're booing him can turn it around, I want to see if when it's my turn and I'm blowing it, how I can turn this thing around. So I tell people this important thing. You can always learn from two people. People who have blown it big and people who have done it big. Mm-hmm. Don't count out the people who messed up real big time. You can find out some amazing things from those people. And especially if they're willing to tell you what they did wrong. Then it's so great because now you know what to do right. And the people that did it right, just take all the notes on what to do right and grow. And don't be the person who has to be a hardhead and go through it yourself. Mm-hmm. Be like, just apply the information, be like, I'm going to do this. So yeah.
Did success come all at once or was it gradual?
Well, I think it's different stages of success. Like by 25, I had a 3,000 square foot home, my second house that I had built. I got to pick everything in this house. Foyer, French doors, jacuzzi tubs, you name it. One room, we didn't even finish the room. It was a 500 square feet finished room with carpet in it. We didn't even finish rolling it. And I had the basketball court outside and long driveway. It was beautiful.
Wow.
And I loved this house. And I didn't even have renters in my other house for a couple months. I was like, I moved in my house and it was only $170,000 to have it built. And because I had good credit, so it was great because, so here I was, 3 months, it was blackberry bushes when I went out and looked at it. And the guy said, I could build a house right there. So faith, you got to be able to see the house when you can't see the house.
Right.
You got to see something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You have to see your graduation already. You have to see yourself. You have to visualize that I've got this. This is my purpose. This is my calling. I got this. So in the process, I'm like, okay, this is great. But as soon as I promise you, I went to put a picture on the wall and I heard like God speak to my heart. Don't get too comfortable. So I never put a picture on the wall. In 8 months, I have moved to California. Wow. I got a job. They gave me a signing bonus. They gave me a car. They sent packers. I didn't have to pack one thing. Thank you. That's terrible when you have to pack. I didn't pack one thing. They loaded up my stuff. They sent me here to find a place to live. And I moved to California. And I left all those things because I wasn't attached to things. I put renters in those places. And I was gone. My business and everything. Okay? So in the process, I felt pretty successful. Then when I got here, new challenge. See, I'd already maxed my stuff there. I went through grad school in 4 terms. I had a TV job at ABC Television at that point in time. I had now 2 cars. I just bought a brand new Lexus and I had a Honda Accord and I have 2 houses and I'm 25 years old and I'm 3 kids.
Wow.
But I mastered that level, I guess. So guess what? I got dropped back down to the bottom of the barrel. Empty your cup so now you can fill it back up. So it comes a fear factor sometimes, because you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How do I do this? Do you know? So amazing, because I had to learn new things. I had to be in new situations. I had to learn new people. I had to do all these things new. I was in a new state where my 3,000 square foot home, I'm now at a 1,500 square feet. I don't even know if it's that much, and I'm paying double for it, and I'm upset about it. I'm working like crazy. Sometimes I'm at work at 4 a.m. Some days I'm at work at 3 a.m. Wow. And it's so much for me, and I was crying sometimes. But then I did my 2 years there, and I moved to the pharmaceutical job that I loved. Still gave me a car, gave me expense account, gave me everything. I loved my job. I'm wearing my suits and jewelry every day and everything, and I love my dinner and lobsters and crab, and all that good stuff. I love the job. It's great. But at the meantime, I started building my 501c3. And then I built souls from that. I didn't do anything with souls for 7 or 8 years until crisis happened, and it was already there waiting for me to have it. It was ready. But I would just do these conferences and different things, and and then when I was in that situation where I was married to the guy that owned the shoe company, I learned so much. I learned a whole lot about marketing. I learned about strategy. I learned about overseas stuff. I learned about wire transfers. But in college, I also won the leadership award at the University of Oregon in School of Journalism. And they gave me a ton of money. It was great. It was so awesome. The Phyllis Van Kivel Bell Scholarship. It's online. And I was the first recipient of it. And I remember I flipped it over and there was a check on the back. And it was just like one of those magic checks. I was like, woo! I was so excited. But I had been on Student Senate. I had created organizations on campus. I was involved in my sorority at the time. I don't do it anymore. I kind of renounced all that stuff. But I did children's days. I did fashion shows on campus. I did graduations. I did student union stuff. Like, I was so busy on campus, all the stuff I needed for all the conferences I do now. Not knowing. And my parents had 5, me and Sean, and then after I was 11, they had 4 more kids.
Wow.
So I was irritated, like, why do I have to do this? These aren't my kids. Like, I was like so irritated, like, why you got me helping with these kids? Well, because I was able to go through and help with the kids and still go to church youth group and still go to work on my job and still do homework and still go to practice. I just ended up doing that my whole life, so it doesn't seem like it's a lot when I had 5 children to take care of, and I still had to do all those same things because it was now something my parents taught me. And because my parents taught me, I from when I was complaining, and I love, this is your moment, your wax on, wax off moment. Yeah. Do you know what that means? See, you're a little young. You know what I'm talking about. Wax on, wax off?
No.
Mr. Miyagi?
No, I don't know that.
Karate Kid. Karate Kid. So remember he was doing and so he's painting and he's got to do all the cars and he's got him doing all the structures and he was like, you have to paint like this and you got to do like this. And finally he blows up. I'm not your maid. Why do you have me doing this? You're wasting my time. I'm supposed to be learning karate. You didn't know other than the master. The master was teaching you the whole time. Wax on, wax off. You were learning everything you needed to learn as you were working. I didn't know that. So I'm complaining like Karate Kid and not knowing if my mom and dad didn't have that moment, God knew I was going to need to be a parent. I was going to need to get my degrees. Not to mention, remember, I'm a track runner for Oregon. After my son was born, I stepped foot on the track. And my son was 5 weeks old when I stepped foot on the track. And I was still breastfeeding, and I became an athlete at a Division I school. Crazy. I can't even think about doing such a thing right now. My core was all jacked up. I was heavy. I ran like a first 100 meter I ran was 25 seconds. And that's very slow. Well, of course, for 100 meters. Mm-hmm. Every week I got faster and faster and faster and faster, and I was determined. And so when I look on my Instagram, I have my pictures of me. I've already had 3 children and I'm running. I look on there and my Oregon photos are amazing to me because this is where the magic really happened. This is really, I wanted to finish everything I started. So here I am running for Oregon. Against the girls that have no kids. I'm in this photo. This guy he ran in the Olympics, and he's a 3-time Olympic runner. I ran with winner in the Olympics, Felix Sanchez. I ran with Marion Jones. We were friends since back in the days. She was at Rio Mesa. I have been with the best of them.
Rio Mesa, Marion Jones?
She came from Rio Mesa. Yeah, wow. But we used to run summer track together. So it's those things where perseverance and determination come in. So, it's my wax on, wax off moments. You don't know you're learning when you're at your craziest moments. Matter of fact, my craziest moments, sad to say, have been the best moments when something great was about to happen in my life. That divorce was the best thing that ever happened in my life. That divorce taught me that God could do a great thing in my life. That divorce birthed Souls Health and Resource Center where we're sitting right now. That divorce, I'm glad he didn't help me for 5 years with a dime. Even though he had the money, he could have helped me. He owned a shoe company, never sent me shoes for my kids. And I'm telling you, it's so amazing because God can get the glory because everything that happened was a miracle. From the house that God gave me to getting the kids through school. And my daughter believes man, I watched my mom has faith like you would not believe, but it was built. I didn't start out with a lot of faith. It was faith came and then faith grew. And so I had to have things that I couldn't see. I couldn't see how it was going to work out. I didn't know how I had a prophecy that said I was moving to California. I was going to be a preacher and I was going to be this. And I was like, no, sorry, sir, you got the wrong person. I'm not moving to California. I don't know any scriptures. No. He was absolutely right. But it wasn't my job to figure out how. It wasn't my job to figure out the provision. I like to try to figure things out, but it always happens a different way. And just when I think I'm going to lose everything, bam, the next big, great thing happens. Why? Because of persistence, because of integrity, where's your little list? Yeah. Because of consistency, determination, and character and passion, and then you keep your integrity, and I sow good seeds, and I'll reap a good harvest. And bad people have come into my life. I've had people come trick me with who they were as a person to try to get close to me, get close to my heart, and come into my life, and it was discovered that they weren't even who they said they were, and I was already in way too deep, and I was like, oh my gosh, and God exposed them, and then God removed them from my life, and I had to look at myself and say, well, how did that happen, Taryn? You're just so trusting. So I had to stop and be patient, because sometimes we want things so quickly that we move faster than God will want us to move. So I've had to learn so many things in this journey. And then I just take them and teach it to somebody else so that their life can be transformed and changed and they can have the better part of my testimony and they can do it right.
Nice. So the next one is, what is the difference between you and your competitors?
Well, I think people get really, we have a free app. We have our cookbook. I post a lot of free information, which my One of my assistants just called me. She might even be on the line because I think I clicked her in. She might have hung up. Here you go. I'm going to throw this to you so you can plug it in. Ready? There you go. So she always says, you give everything away for free. I said, I probably do. That's why I need people like you around, because you got to be balanced. You know, because some people are like, they hold on to their money like this, you know, and then there's the givers, and like, I'm a giver, so I'm like, okay, God's gonna take care of me. And it's like, whoa, slow down, tiger. You gotta have some structure up in here, right? So it's good to have good sound people around you. If you know, you gotta know which one you are. Like, if you're total tightwad, get somebody that has that gives you to open up. It's like, I say, if your hand is closed all the time, you don't give, you can't, it's not open to put more in it. It's just always closed. So you gotta be.
What are you, Jules?
I think I'm a giver. I'm very like, okay, next time I'll get it for me next time. Like,
right. And so we let people kind of run over us sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they don't give back to us, and then it's like, So I read the book Boundaries. It's the best thing you could ever do. Boundaries. I had to learn how to set healthy boundaries, because especially when it comes to your beautiful woman, men, and other situations and job. And that's where, like I was saying, that situation, I can't let someone who, even for money, pull me into something that I don't feel right about the person. You got to check, follow that check in your spirit that's in your gut. And you know how when you did something wrong, you felt it right here in your stomach? Follow that thing. That's God telling you. That's the little angel that's on one side, the devil on the side. Do it. And you're like, no. You know, follow this. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Abort. Mission. You know, and it's okay to. But have people around you that you can bounce something off of. So like Mickey does my grief recovery and stuff. So I'll call Mickey for something. I really trust Mickey. Or I have another mentor I talk to once a week, and he's an apostle, pastor. I have a 90-year-old woman always in my life. And even just yesterday I was looking at, in both of them, all the 3 90-year-old, 87, 89, and 90-year-old women in my life, they're all, I just realized last night that in the next 10 years, they could pass. And it was like it hit me in the gut, like, oh my God, I've learned so much from them. So I'm looking for the next positive women and positive men in my life that are going to be there. You know, as people get older, you gotta have good people that you can tell the truth to, and they can, you know, spank you and say, hey, don't do that. You're like, okay. And really important. So you know, those are things that are really important. Have somebody you can bounce things off of. Have a good mentor. Have somebody you can be honest with. Even my daughter, I remember I said, hey, if you're ever doing something you're not supposed to do, you're somewhere you're not supposed to be, I wanted her to tell me the truth. So I always said, if you, instead of lying to me, if you're doing something, don't be scared to feel like you can't call me. I said, the rule I'm going to give you is this. For 24 hours, I have nothing to say about it. But I'll come pick you up. We'll get home, get you safe, go to bed, do what you need to do. We'll talk about it the next day. Because I don't want you to be fearful about getting in trouble and you stay in a bad situation. Right. And everybody's here smoking weed, or there's cocaine in the room, or you know, they're kids. Like kids do crazy stuff. Kids do, like I don't know, ecstasy and I don't know what, you know. I don't even know all the crazy stuff. Yeah, right. Some crazy orgy breaks out in college, and people are all having sex, and you're like, you know, like what do? You know, can I call my dad right now? Yes, you should be able to call your dad. And it has to be a safe place. And so some kids stayed in situations because they're scared to call their parents. Right. So I told my daughter, hey, we're not going to talk about it. Look, I'd rather have you home and safe rather than something happened to you and you were like not concerned about the fact that you lied to me and what am I going to do, and you have to hear me and you're grounded for the rest of your life. I need to just be, right now, I need to not be able to blow up, and I need you to know that. So, you know, my kids would come tell me some stuff and I'd just be like, oh, Lord Jesus, you know. And we'll stick to the rules. And I had to do my end of the part as a bargain as a parent. You have to do or you'll lose the kid because they try to trust you and you went crazy and, you know, it didn't work well. So, yeah.
What's the hardest lesson you learned as a CEO in your business?
We were talking about being too nice. There's times I have done, well, there's a few things I can think of. Like, I remember I didn't pray about the process of how to. And I helped this lady one time that was a homeless lady. And it was a terrible nightmare trying to get her out of one of my houses. Oh, wow. And it was like the how to. You have to know when some people are professional gamers, like scammers, like, right. You know, I told you I married one. So I was like, oh my God, he wasn't even who he said he was. Like on paper, it said that was his name, but he took on somebody else's identity with the same name that was an attorney. And said he was an attorney, and he wasn't. So every time I looked him up, it had that person. It was a real person. So, and not only that, with this crazy generation that you live in, he was changing his pictures with Photoshops, and you know, you can make yourself like small, you can make yourself big, you can, you know, change your smile, you change your eye color. He was changing everything. And then he would take documents and change the emails and text messages, and it looked just like a real text message, and it wasn't.
So he was a real talented guy. If he had just used his talent for doing something right, he would probably double his success.
But he just didn't want to work, and he wanted to live off someone else. And so here he was from another state. So, you know, once again, moving slow. I moved way too fast and thinking this was this great person, and okay, we can work together. And I was like,
you were trusting your gut.
And I felt something a little wrong, but I didn't trust it. So, you know, it's those type of things where you have to learn from those mistakes and say, where did I screw up? Where did I miss it? What am I learning? Like, how in the world did this happen? And instead of me pointing the finger at him, I'm looking at me like, okay, you. Let's go back to this whole scenario and see how we got to this place. You know, and I'm free with that. You know, I had to do some challenging things with some people where, as a counselor, sometimes I counsel people, and a lady called me. She wanted to kill some guy, and I was like, I never had the situation. So my friend's a cop. He's a detective. So I called him. I got him on the phone, one phone, and I'm on the other phone. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to talk her off the ledge. And she's like, I slept with this man, and she's a grown woman, and he doesn't want to speak to me anymore. And I was like, okay, stop. How do we handle this? Like, I had to think things through for another person. And how do I learn from this and help somebody else learn from this too? And I'm trying to get, you know, we're trying to talk her back into sanity, you know, but you have to have a sane mind to be able to help somebody in that situation. So realistically, all your things aren't about you. All your successes aren't about you. I've had to learn from all these crazy mistakes. Like I like about Joseph in the Bible, his brothers throw him in a pit. Then he's doing the right thing and he won't sleep with the master's wife. And she says that he raped her because she couldn't have her way. So for doing right, he goes to prison.
Right.
It looks like his life is over. The brothers are like, hey, done with that. We have put him in a pit. We've gotten rid of him, that dreamer. Because when you tell your dreams to everybody, they're not for you. So everybody can't tell your dreams to. So now they're attacking him.
Yeah, then he told his dream. Then he solved, I think it was the cook's dream. The Pharaoh's cook,
and the cupbearer,
sold his dream and told him that he would never forget him. Then this guy got out of jail and he forgot about him.
So he helped him. He needed him.
3 years later.
Yeah, totally. He interprets the dream, and it happened exactly the way he said it. So he's now in prison, and now he's running the prison because guess what? His integrity. His character, he's still a good person. No matter what they said, he's still there doing what he's supposed to be doing. Even a bad situation. Who goes to prison and starts running the whole prison? Like, he still was in him. He wasn't going to let the circumstance change his heart. And so he didn't let it change his heart. He remained the same. And so while he's in there, all of a sudden, the Pharaoh has a dream. And nobody can interpret it. And so then finally, because the Pharaoh says, I'm going to kill every person that's a sorcerer or whatever, if they can't tell me my dream, I'm not even going to tell you what I dreamt. You have to tell me. They were like, no man can do this. And so the guy had to say, there was a guy when I was in prison that did it. So they bring him.
He said the other guy was going to fall on the he was going to be killed with the, what do you call it? Impaled.
Impaled.
Be impaled. And he said he was, and he did. And he said I was going to succeed, and I did. So he can tell dreams.
He interpreted dreams. So they bring him out of prison. Mind you, it doesn't matter that his brothers put him in prison. It doesn't matter that they tried to destroy his future. It doesn't matter that this woman now has lied on him. It doesn't matter about those things. His calling was still on track, even though it looks like his whole life is falling apart. Yeah. So he comes up, do you know, he interprets the dream, and the man says, here's the ring. He puts it on his finger and says, you're going to be in charge now. He became like the vice president of the United States, but over the world, to preserve the world, because there was going to be 7 years of famine and 7 years of plenty. So he had to make a preservation system to save everybody. And guess who had to come before him for food? Those brothers. All 10 of them had to come. Now they were in need. You know, it had been like 20 years later. They didn't even recognize him.
He was 39 by the time it actually
happened.
He was 19 when he was sold to slavery. By his own brothers.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So now they have.
Told the dad that he had been eaten by lions.
They told and lied on him to the father. So now the father, they had to go back and tell the truth to their father. And they had 70 people in their clan. Now it saved all 70 people. And when they came there, they also, by the way, the day that he became the number 2 in line,
yeah.
They gave him a wife and he had 2 children. And his children's names have great meaning. Manasseh, it means causes me to forget my pain. See, everybody has pain, but it didn't even matter at this point because he was so blessed. The next one was Ephraim, caused me to be blessed in the land that I live. So he's blessed right where he is, but not only just for himself. He saved all 70 of them. He saved all these people from dying. And now they turned into 3 million people by the time they left. 433 years.
Yeah, Jacob was his father. Actually.
Yeah, Jacob's his father. So my point is, no matter how they try to destroy you, if you keep those things integrity intact and you sow good seeds and you are doing right, no weapon formed against you can prosper. I watched it last night with my son. We watched a cartoon. No weapon formed against you is going to prosper.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, we did. We watched a cartoon. It was great.
It's actually what I'm reading in the Bible right now.
Isn't that amazing?
That's the story I'm reading right now.
See?
Yeah.
And I talked about it this morning on my Lifeline when I did my Lifeline online. And I was like so great because my son was saying, Mom, do you see? You know, he's pointing out some things to me. And I thought it was great because you learn so much. It doesn't change. Your scenarios are going to happen right there. And you just have to learn the reactions. You know? And I'm like, man, be the kid that absorbs it and doesn't just like let it go over your head. Like, what was that story that they said? Like,
yeah.
You know?
The only time it becomes a loss, Jules, is when you give up. That's it. If you keep fighting, like Tanner says, all the lessons that Tanner just taught you are amazing.
I mean, I literally should have quit. I should have given up. I should have died. Like, I mean, I shouldn't even be. I moved out at 16 years old. Most 16-year-olds, they're not going to school. They didn't go to school. I mean, you get pregnant. People get pregnant or whatever, you know, or what have you. I had 3 kids in college and still went through. I was married, but you know, what have you.
What a fighter, man.
And I mean, and then had so many bad things happen in the midst of me doing good. I can't tell you how many times I've been lied on, talked about, and things that I didn't even do. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God. And God's like, just stay focused on me. So I have to learn to be kind to bad people, like to give to do good things. I don't go buy them a Starbucks card. I learned to give my enemies hugs. I learned to, because truth be told, I was watching the presidents and I was watching Queen Elizabeth and I was like, they have to be around a lot of their enemies and still do business. And if you're sitting in the presence of your enemies and you're snarling at them and you're mad and you cannot be in a royal position. Can you imagine? Okay, right now, what's her name? Markle. Meghan Markle. She's getting ready to get married into royalty. She has no time to pay attention to what tabloids are saying about her.
Yeah.
Right.
She can't address all those things. She can't argue with everybody. She can't prove how right she is. They're going to critique her from poor Trump's wife. She wears some Jimmy Choo shoes. Yeah, she was wearing Jimmy Choo shoes before. Yeah, they're $700 and $1,000 for those shoes. Oh, so what? But they are talking about her all the time. They would critique everything. You can't address everybody.
It's like Grant Cardone says. You know Grant Cardone?
Grant Cardone,
He says, hey, look, it doesn't really matter if they're talking good or bad, as long as they're talking about it.
It doesn't matter.
If they're talking about you, you're important.
And you have to be careful about what you say about yourself, because you will have what you say. Proverbs 18:21 says, you will eat the fruit of your lips, whether good or bad. So you have to be careful. Don't think negative of yourself. So like, you're going to have to think positive. When nobody else believes in you, you believe in you. And you know, I'm telling you, the first time I went to do my 501c3, this man ran off with my $900. And I had to get up another $900 and go to somebody else and have them do it again. And then that other guy, 5 years, he was great. And then he ran off with like $300 to somebody else. And I'm like, what in the world is a different person? How is this happening to me? But you know what? It's okay, because if it's, I keep knocking. And the Bible says, ask and keep on asking, seek and keep on seeking, and knock and keep on knocking. I can only knock on a door that's closed. Right. They had to have said no. So Jennifer Hudson, they said when she did Dreamgirls, they were like, first of all, she was told by Simon that she would never, ever make it. And that she was terrible, by the way.
Oh, really?
How embarrassing.
Simon
on national television. He said, you're not a singer. You won't ever make it in this business.
Who is this?
Wow.
Jennifer Hudson. So Dreamgirls, They called her. They said she did. They called her, told her she didn't make the cut. She went to church and prayed and said, God, you told me, you said this about me. You know, they called her back and gave her the role.
Oh, wow.
And you see, the rest is history. Yeah. Oprah, they said she'd never make it. Look at Michael Jordan didn't even make it on his high school team. They got rid of him. Are you kidding me? You know, there's so many stories. Oprah, you're not going to make it. And Steve Jobs, they fired him from his own company. You know, I can tell you the people that just, it's in you. They're going to need you. You just have to stay consistent. Don't let the things that knock you down keep you down. You have to get back up. You have to be persevering. You have to still, people say, well, Taryn, how can you believe in love? You know, you've had now several divorces or whatever. And I'm like, look, if you don't want to know the story to every single one, and I'm not going to tell it, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I said, but this is what I do. I do believe in love. You know why? I do believe in loyal people. I believe in people that don't cheat. I believe in people that don't lie. I believe that people are faithful on social media and off of social media. I believe in it. They said, well, how can you believe in it after all that? I said, because I'm still here. And I'm not the only one. Right. It's really about me. Am I really this person that lives this? And I believe as best as I am. I live that part, so I know there's more out there. You know? So now you got to attract like-minded people. And I told my daughter, I said, don't get married early. She was like, what? I said, because she said she was going to be making $350,000 a year. And she said she wanted somebody that matched where she was going to be making. I said, well, then let me tell you something. Don't get married early then. Wait until you guys are, grad school or after. You got to see some behaviors. You got to see some patterns. Yeah. Do they pay their bills? How do they act when they're upset? When they're mad at you, what do they do? Do they hit below the belt? Do they, it'll tell you everything in business and in life. How they are in life is how they'll be in business too. So you want people on your team that are going to build you up when things are difficult. They're not going to remind you of your past. Like, that's what the devil does. He's an accuser of the brethren. He brings up all your past failures and puts you down. You want people that build you up. Okay, so you're down there? Give me your hand. Mm-hmm. Get up here. Come on. And I had one girl in ministry. She called me. It's like they were going in and doing ministry in the prisons. And she hooked up with some guy in prison. And she had called me after she'd already, was way too deep and was getting ready to get in trouble. And I said, okay, well, you blew that. So let's fix it. I don't need to harp on how she blew it. It was like, look, this is what we're going to do. I said, call your pastor. He's a police officer. Talk to him. I said, call social services. Let them know, because she found out that the guy was a pedophile and she didn't know he was around her daughter. Do you know she followed everything I told her to do? And later on that day, the police officers had called her and were going to take her daughter but she had already reported everything. Wow. She didn't know. Yeah. So, but she listened. And do you know there was other people that were pastors and leaders around her, and they talked so bad about her. And they treated her horrible. I was like, stop it. Are you and I above falling? We're not. Like, the second you think that you're above falling, that's when you're going to fall. That's pride.
That's absolutely right. That's what we just talked about today, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's some real wisdom right there.
It's pride. Yeah. I'm like, I see the homeless people. I love them. I do all kinds of things. I work with them and I get them jobs. If it wasn't for God, that could be me. Right. Like, they didn't choose their life, just to be exactly like that. So they made choices, but that could have been me. If I have a sound mind, it's because God gave me a sound mind. As a matter of fact, I was just saying in my house, I was going to write love, power, and a sound mind, because my babies say it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I have a sound mind because I renew my mind in the Word of God. I stick to biblical principles, and I just obey God when it feels good, and when it doesn't feel like good. And if I make a mistake, I confess it, and I get it right, and start trying to turn into the right thing. Mm-hmm. Is it popular right now? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. I always try to share it with my children. I wasn't introduced to the Bible. I mean, I was introduced to it. I'm a Catholic. I grew up Catholic,
right?
As you know, but I never read the Bible. Growing up, I almost sometimes in my early adulthood,
right,
I felt like I could have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
But as I got to be about 30, I realized, how dare I have an opinion on something that I haven't even read? I've read every sales book under the sun. I'm a big reader.
Right. And that, except for that. And you know what's so crazy? So people come to my classes and say, now let's do this. What did he tell you? These signs shall follow those who believe. You can lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. It wasn't until I was 26 years old the first time I went to a cancer ward and laid hands on somebody and they lived and didn't die. And they had 2 hours to live when somebody who knew me in there called me. And it became fire to me. So now I want to lay hands on everybody. So I was teaching the kids, and so my daughter's laying hands on my grandma's arthritic knees, and the knees stop hurting, you know. And this is where she prayed for this pastor, and the same thing happens. The pastor asked my daughter at 9 years old to come preach on the mic. She got $100 offering. It was so cute. She thought it was like $1 million, right? But they just did what they saw me doing. So we learned to change lives, and so it went from now reading the Bible, believing the Bible, to doing the Bible. And so what's funny is my name, and I teach on power and authority, is TNT. You see how crazy that is? Dunamis power in the Greek. Strong's number 1411, which is the delegated miracle-working power and ability of God, from God given to you. But a lot of times we don't know we have it.
Wow.
We have it, and the Bible says we have it. Luke 10:19, I've given you power and authority over all the power of the enemy, and nothing's going to harm you. So now I just go show everybody in the Word. We have Bible studies, we have classes, and kids come. Matter of fact, one of the girls, my girls from the Magic, oh my gosh, she came to my conference. Do you know Emmy? Mm-mm. Oh, she's Russian. She's, her mom's Elena. She's fireballs. She's come to all my classes, all my stuff, Bible study with me. Her whole life, she's 19 years old. She's doing the business just like you are. Yeah. You guys have to meet. She's doing business management classes too. Wow. When I say her life changed since we've been in that Bible, even her boyfriend, like we'll be on the phone and we'll be doing like 20-minute Bible studies, and they're changing her life. Like how to get your prayers answered, how to walk in power and authority. So she'll just text me and ask me questions, and we just answer them, and we just have our little talks here and there. But she's so hungry, but she didn't just see it. She came to the conference and she did those things. And she watched, demons being cast out and everything. It was awesome. So this is what we're supposed to be doing. So the church is asleep, and people are dying all around us, and we have the answer, and we're not really living this word. Peter is the only person that stepped out and walked on water. Only person. And they all watched him. I've been like trying to get out too. I'm like, let me step out of here. I'm walking with you. You walking, I'm walking. I'm just that kind of person. Like,
I love that. I love that. We want to come to your, whatever it is you got, man. Your conference.
Yeah.
It's great.
You name it.
Yep. I have one posted. Mickey's actually doing a class here June 2nd, but it's in like 2 weeks. It's going to be here. We just move everything, classroom setting. That's why usually we have the cameras and stuff. We do classes. And then we have a huge conference in December. And we usually have, so that one's small group, so everybody gets hands-on deliverance and and healing. And the prophetic goes forth. And they get activated.
I've had so many miracles in my life that, that's been my saving grace, right? Is that even as a kid, I had God. Because I went to Catholic school, I had a grandma that prayed all day.
Right.
So I chose the devil.
We all did.
For so many years.
Yeah.
We all did.
I chose the devil in so many ways, and my daughter had asked me these questions, and I realized, she said, where does success happen, or whatever the questions
right.
were. When does it stop? When does it really happen? I said, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, because I could have been a failure over and over and over, and I was. I did fail so many times.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved me so many times was that, for whatever reason, I had God in my life, and I turned to Him in times of desperation.
Yeah, those times, and that's the best thing.
And it's not until my 40s, right, that I actually start getting into the Word.
Is that crazy?
And realizing and learning how I have all this power that I haven't used because I've chosen not to use it, because it's always been there.
Yeah.
But life's a journey. That's why I believe I must be here to live many years, because.
Well, your best is yet to come now. Now that you're driving in it.
I matured so late.
It's okay.
These things.
You're on time now.
But the Lord's given me so much, even when I was choosing the devil.
Yeah.
He was by my side, giving me and giving me.
Amen.
And giving me.
Amen. I love it. And see, so like our job is to show you guys as young people, so you can impact your generation, and then you get like-minded people. And I love it. Like, my daughter was like, she's like, I'm doing my devotional. I was like, yes, Lord.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to church. And I was like, because at first, her first 3 years, she wasn't going to church. And I was like, God, I need her to start going to church or something. Find a church for her.
Yeah.
So, like, tomorrow I'm going to, do you know who Todd White is?
Who?
Todd White?
No.
Oh, my goodness. It's in Orange County. I'm so excited. You should look him up, too. Todd White is an awesome dude. That guy's testimony will rock your world. Like, go on YouTube.
My daughter knows. I
Mm-hmm.
go to church, for the last year or so. I went to a mass on a weekday, 7 a.m. And that preacher, it's a Catholic mass.
Right.
It's what I know.
Right.
And I find a lot of people knock it and talk bad about the Catholic Church, and they go, but but it always showed me so much.
Right.
It always shared so much with me. Why do I want to knock it? I don't want to knock it.
Right.
What can I learn from it?
At least it gave you a foundation that you needed.
So I've been going to, last year, every day, I hit a mass at 70. I start my day with a mass, and I go, why are you doing this? Because God's right here. I'm not going to the mass to get Jesus.
God, he's in me, right.
He's already in me,
yeah.
right? But then I started thinking, you know what? I go to that mass because it reminds me what a sinner I am. That mass reminds me of who I really am and how much I need him.
And everybody's different. You may get it something there, and it's great. Like, we all get it in a different way. Like, man, and I look at some people's lives, and I'm like, man, they have such a vanilla life. It's so great. And I'm like, why do I got to go through all these turns and hard knocks and whatever? But it's the journey that your testimony is being told,
That's right. Yeah.
We're almost out of this thing. What you got? Tell me.
One more.
One more?
What are your goals both professionally and personally?
Goals. Okay. So some point having a gym, producing these books. Also, which somewhere around here, there's a videos we'll be doing for like fitness videos, some of the clothing stuff, and juice. This will be a juice bar. We've been changing it over to a juice bar. We do the meal prep and different things. So we're right in the middle of our remodel, which has been really, really great. And so also television, radio stuff. I have some things I just got picked up for a morning show, so I'm really excited about that. Get my kids graduated and reading and writing properly, all that good stuff, and get those guys successfully onto their journey as well. So just but also just growing and expanding and finding out what God's will is for my life and watching it mature. But in the process, I would love to see health and resource centers all over the nation, if not out of the country, and be able to help people everywhere. And so that's what I love about the app and YouTube and our Facebook group and the internet and stuff, is that like even at 2 a.m, people can go see and they're able to order, and there's residuals. And then I'm able to do the same thing with Enagic, and I speak with the company I love. I think I found my niche at Enagic, even though they always ask me to speak. But now social media has been really fun, and people love to see the social media as well. So it really works really, really, really good. And so I love the fact that we're able to, do things globally and internationally. Like what I love about Enagic, we can do that anywhere in the world. If I go to Dubai, sky's the limit. If I go to Paris, sky's the limit. If I go to Greece, sky's the limit. Australia, Fiji, wherever I go, I can do this anywhere in the world, what I'm doing here. And so I love that you can be everywhere doing everything now, and it's a huge transition. So like I'm going to Oregon in the next few weeks, and I'll be able to do all of these things there. And so will you. That's a great thing. You're in the company for Enagic. My daughter's graduating from college.
Oh, that's right.
So when I go, I have a Bible meeting on like one night, and then I think I'm preaching at a church on another day, and then I'm seeing my parents and my daughter and all that good stuff, and then I hopefully rest today and come home.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You might be they say that you needed a service with us.
Okay.
With Spectrum.
Thank you. We're taping, so sorry.
Okay.
I'll call you.
You call me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I came a couple of times, and I guess you were.
You're supposed to call me back one day.
Yeah.
So, just really excited that she's doing her paper, and my goodness, what's amazing, I want to tell you guys how God introduces people, is that I was at Enagic doing a seminar, and her father asked me, did I know somebody named Sean Tyler? And I'm like, oh, that's my brother. He said, oh, I went to Santa Clara. I was like, I went to Santa Clara. And he said, oh, really? He's like, what years? And then, isn't it ironic how I haven't gone to Santa Clara for over 20 years. And so here her father actually said, oh, my sister's name is Audrey. And I had just posted a picture of his sister and I the day before when I found a bunch of pictures. So next thing you know, his daughter contacts me, and she comes and does an interview with me. And I'm so excited because she's a young entrepreneur. She's already pursuing business, and she's growing, and she has an amazing dad. And we're all here, and God is in the midst, and it's been really great. So I'm really glad I've seen a lot of you guys on, and some comments and stuff, and some it lets me see and some of it doesn't. So feel free to share. I hope this information helps you guys, because as she was asking the questions, I'm like, these are the questions people ask me all the time. So we just posted it on YouTube. And so it says the same thing, interview. Actually, I'll correct that. For business and success with Julianna BACA. Did I say it right?
BACA.
BACA.
Yeah.
BACA. And I'm really excited that she took this opportunity to come out. And so, woo-hoo, see you. Drink Congo water. It's half full, not half empty.
Right.
Remember that. Toxic people, toxic. So yeah. There we go. Wait, that might have. Are you sure you want to? Oh, you know what? Stop streaming. You know what? Let me see that phone because I'm gonna reconnect it. It might have taped and it might not.